Hi, and welcome to Marketing Live TV for this week, where you can engage in real life marketing live on the show. This week, we're going to cover some tips and hints for networking events and how you can get the most out of the networking events that you attend. And at the very end, I've got a bit of a pro tip that I've used for a few years just to make sure that you get real value out of it and have a lasting memory in people's minds when after you've attended the event. So thanks for watching, and this week how about we get straight into it and jump straight into the show. So stay tuned to find out more. All right, so thanks for watching. I'm Jason, and this is Marketing Live TV, where you can engage in real life marketing live on the show. Before we get into this week's topic of tips for networking events, I just want to say thanks for watching, and if you like any of the content or any of the topic ideas, or even if you like the concept of Marketing Live TV, feel free to connect and share on the channels below. We will always get back to you, and if there's anything that you would like featured on the show, feel free to reach out. You can connect with us on social channels or at marketinglive.tv. So let's jump into this week's show. Networking events sometimes can be scary, sometimes they're exciting, but they're really great opportunities for you to reach and connect with other like-minded business people looking to get a connection that could help both of you grow your business. So networking events have a variety of different structures. They can be small subscription type network events where you go each week, or they can be one-off events. So the reason we're chatting about this topic is we recently broadcast from the LinkedIn local event on the Gold Coast, and well done to Christine McCabe, who put together a great event, and all the guys there and ladies, I should say, that had a really good time. So it inspired one of the things one of the questions that we asked was, what are your tips for networking events and networking online and offline? So that inspired this show. So therefore, we'll jump straight into it. So today we're going to talk about 9 tips running through from the preparation, what to do at the networking events, and then following up afterwards. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a power pro tip that I mentioned just before, a way of really maximizing your result. So let's start with preparation. Before you turn up at the networking event, you want to know what the networking event is and the details about it, but you also want to know, and the reason why you want to know that is you want to know who will be attending. Are they of relevance to you and your business? Now, depending on what you are after, that audience may or may not be relevant. For example, there would be no point attending a beauty networking event if you were in real estate. So just make sure that the audience and the people attending that network event are going to be relevant to you. So then the second tip is understand what you want to get out of the event. So do you want to meet 1 or 2 people that you think might help you, or do you want to meet 20 people that you just want to get your name in front of to grow your business? So there may or may not be, there's advantages to different objectives. It may be that you want a new lead to close down 1 new sale or something like that. You need to be relatively clear about what you're trying to achieve, and that will make it easier for you to get something positive out of the event. So the third tip is, before the event, have everything you need when you arrive at that event. So if you need business cards, if you need a pen and paper to make notes of the conversations that you have, make sure your phone is charged so that you can collect people's phone numbers if need be. Take the odd photo with people. It gives you an opportunity to share it. Now, if you don't have your phone charge, like if you just need all of these things, make sure you've got everything that you've got. That's my soapbox point. If you don't have everything that you should have at the event, then you shouldn't be there. Bit of a bonus tip here is make sure that you have something that will get you to stand out. So I'll talk about something, a pro tip that I've used a lot that has really made me stand out in people's minds, and they've remembered that for a few years afterwards as I've met them at other networking events. So, but make sure you have something that will make you stand out. It might be your tie, it might be your dress, it might be your business card, it may be just something that will trigger you in people's memory when they think about that and that event. Okay, so we're prepared, we know who's going, we understand what we want out of it, and we've got everything we need. So then we arrive at the networking event. So when you arrive at the networking event, make sure that you, meet this is not a tip, but this is just a good advice. Go and introduce yourself to the organizer. It's a really positive thing to do. They need to know you're there. They want to know that you've attended and all that sort of stuff. So make sure that you mark yourself off as there, meet the organizer, that sort of thing. All right, so back into the tips. Number 4 is when you're chatting to people, ask background or open questions. Don't sit there and just ask, so what do you do and what is your business? They're closed questions and people expect it, and there's nothing in there that's going to help you or them get to know each other better. So an example brought up yesterday at the LinkedIn local event on the Gold Coast was ask how they got into what they're doing. It gives them the opportunity to step back, think, and talk a bit more about the actual background, what they're interested in, and they can run a conversation from there. So tip number 5 for networking events is actively engage. Don't look around the room trying to engage with every single person in the room. If you're talking to someone, actively pay attention to them, listen to them, provide feedback and responses that show that you're actively listening. Now, if there's situations where people may not be what you're interested in achieving that objective, that's okay. At a networking event, make sure that you excuse yourself in a polite way, and it may be go to the bathroom, go to the bar, go to chat to the organizer, speak to someone else, or say that you've seen someone else, whatever it may be. Just make sure you do it politely, because while they may not be of interest to you right now, they may later on down the track when you have gotten to know something more about them at a later date. Tip number 6, don't try and meet everyone. Pay attention to the few people who you think in the first instance, or that you have chatted with the organizer, may be the most relevant to you achieving your objectives. So if you try and meet everyone, you're spreading yourself too thin. You'll never have a solid conversation with someone. Now, the networking events are about meeting people face to face. They're about getting to know each other, and you need to get to know each other a little bit more detail to have a solid foundation for contacting them later on. So, and they need to understand and remember who you are. So pick a smaller number of people that you are interested in getting to know, and get to know them in a bit more detail. All right, so you've gone through the networking event, you've done what you've needed, you've arrived and had everything that you want and needed at the event. You've asked a lot of people, you've chatted with those people. Now, what happens when you leave? So the last 3 tips are all about what to do after the event. So the critical point is following up, making sure that you contact those people that you've chatted with, and contact them and be prompt about it. Make sure that not only do they remember you, the sooner that you contact them, the more likely they'll remember the conversation you had with them. So make sure you do that in a relatively timely manner, within 24 hours if possible, 48 hours if you can. Would be the longest that I would leave it before contacting someone following a networking event that you've discussed something relative to. Now, in those follow-up emails, make sure that you include details about what you've discussed with that individual person to make it personal. Now, if you need to take a notepad to the event, chat with someone, excuse yourself for a minute, take a couple of notes and go on to the next, then do that, because it will create impact. You are trying to create a relationship at a networking event. So create that impact, follow up and make it personal about what you discussed on the night or the day at the event. Then a tip for networking events is, if you do end up meeting a number of people, contact them and contact them personally. And if it was a larger event where there's a number of people and you've had to remember a lot of names and that sort of thing, follow up again at a later date. Now, the timing of this may be completely different for those who are interested in different things. So it may be that you follow up a week after, just touching base, or it may be that you follow up a month after, saying something more specific, that like, hey, I'm interested in catching up about a proposal that we discussed, or something along those lines. That you'll need to judge for yourself, but make sure that you do follow up again if you haven't done that. Set yourself a reminder. Everyone has a calendar. Go to the event, make sure you get all the details, contact the person personally, and follow up afterwards again. Right, so before I get in, so that's the 9 tips. But before I get into the power tip, I just want to give a bit of background. This one is around that, having something that makes you stand out. Now, I used this strategy to not only make me stand out, but make sure that I collected everyone's name and details, and also streamline the follow-up process and the reminder to follow up the second time. So this pro tip that I've got gives you the ability to efficiently perform a number of these tips along the whole process. Now, this is a technological tip, and it's not for everyone, but it worked for me, so I'll give it anyway. So the power tip that I have is get yourself a business card scanning app on your phone. Most of these are $1 to $2, up to $5, but they'll be the most valuable asset you have at a networking or business development event. Why? Because when you meet someone, you chat with them, and then you discuss it, and you end the conversation with, do you mind if I have your business card? You take their business card, you take out your phone and you scan it. What that does is it puts the contact into your phone, then you hand the card back and say, thank you, but I don't need this anymore. So there's the impact. All of a sudden that person's like, what? You don't need it anymore. So you say, I've got this app on my phone, I've scanned all your details in, great. And they go, a lot of salespeople still don't use this technology, and it's crazy. Anyway, moving on. So make sure that you scan the business card, give it back. Okay, so there's your impact. A lot of these business card scanning apps now, you can preset your follow-up email. So what you can do is then after the event, say you've met 6 people, and say that you've discussed with before you go to the event, you know that your objective is to get your business out there and to give people a bit more detail about whatever that is. So you pre-write that contact, and then you enter that into the app. Then after you walk out of the event, before you can even leave the room, you can do this in that you can contact that person, personalize that message, and send it, and it takes less than 10 seconds. Done. Your follow-up is as timely as it's ever going to be, because by the time they've reached their car or their hotel room, they've got a contact email from you, they've got all your contact details, and they've got links to whatever additional information that you might need. Additional to this, many of these apps also set follow-up reminders at the same time. So you can have the reminder set, have the email, the second follow-up reminder, I should say, have an email sent to the contact and have their contact details in your phone, and walk out of the networking event without anything extra to do, but focus on how you can mutually benefit each other by having a great relationship together. Now, that one tip is, I believe, is such a power tip, because it allows you to efficiently do a number of the 9 tips that I've mentioned already. So that is that's the show for today. It's all based on the fact that we did the LinkedIn local Gold Coast event yesterday, which was a great event. We'll be pulling together the recordings of that live event and giving a snapshot of some of that and some of the interviews and people that we met throughout the event. So stay tuned, and we'll provide that video shortly. But I just want to say thanks for watching today. Feel free to connect and share, as I've mentioned. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Make sure that you contact us if you want anything featured, if you want to feature your business, or if you'd like to feature an event like the LinkedIn local Gold Coast event. And that's the show for this week. So thanks for watching Marketing Live TV.